Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Enough channel. In this video we got our Game 22 preview for Fantasy Premier League in the 2023-24 season. So, a few hours before lockout at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning local time. And we've discussed in the round 21 or game week 21 preview rather or review. Sorry, struggling this afternoon to get the words out right. That we weren't really planning on making a transfer this week, just given that we'll roll it over and have a look at a couple next week. But I guess just some interesting talking points that have come up. You can see a few sort of niggles and bumps and potentially not playing. Don't think there's anything too concerned to be with here. Although there is a couple, so I guess Trippier playing against Villa's not the best matchup. Gusto playing against Liverpool's not ideal. But as you can see, their next couple are quite handy. And then they do have Man City and a blank. So probably about the time that Reece James will come back into the fold too. So I think we'll just hold, play Gusto potentially in the next couple of game weeks, and then pull him out quick smart. Gabriel, does have a couple of tricky ones coming up with Liverpool and West Ham. By no means are pushovers. And then sort of gets a bit nicer for him, so we'll hang on. And Erling Haaland obviously on the comeback trail, so a nice easy one against Burnley. Would probably predict that he'll play a bit of time, and then maybe start against Brentford before sort of getting into the full swing of it in game week 24, which is just in time for their double in game week 25. So I guess speaking of the double, if I go to Man City, probably the other player that's piquing a bit of interest is De Bruyne. Now that he's back, he's come back, played one game and crushed it in 21 minutes. So obviously we're not expecting that level of points per minute because that's insane. But a good chance of getting some game time against Burnley, and then I guess integrating himself into the side. And that could potentially come at the cost of Alvarez, who we've got. So has played 90 minutes throughout. I think it was the FA Cup where Alvarez was substituted for De Bruyne. So it'll be interesting to see how those three coexist. But I guess I can see why De Bruyne would be a popular trading option. I guess at the moment I don't really have a target. If I could reach, I'd probably go Richarlison, but he should still have probably the next two games before Son comes back and can impact on his scoring upside. Son plays, I think, tomorrow morning as well against Saudi Arabia, which isn't an easy game for South Korea. The winner of that plays Australia, and as an Australian, I'm hoping that they do the business. But yeah, so I'd imagine even if he was to get beaten tonight, they won't rush him back for the weekend. I may be wrong, but I guess even then, game against Everton would be a nice return for him, but probably one they don't have to sort of have him in for given um, the opposition. And then I guess looking at Spurs fixtures, they do after that have Brighton and Wolves at home, which is nice. But then that blank in game week 26. So, um, if we can manipulate it, I think we will bring Son back in, but we don't have to rush. Just given, there is a blank, and then obviously he will receive a double somewhere down the track. Um, so, yeah, so like I said, I can see people bringing in Bruyne. But I think my plan there is Bowen's fixtures sort of go a bit south after this game week against Bournemouth. You can see Man U away and Arsenal, the two after that. So I think that's going to be the play to bring in De Bruyne this way. And then obviously game week 25, De Bruyne's got the double, so would still prefer him. But obviously, Bowen's been really good for us in the short time we've been able to accommodate him. But you can't have all the big guns, unfortunately. So I think he's the one that's going to make way. Um, Saka would be another option, but other than the next couple, the fixtures sort of turn as well. So I guess when you put it that way, you could go either Saka or Bowen. Um, but I guess long term, we probably see those two turning back into Son and De Bruyne until such time that Salah's up and ready to go, and then we have to think about how we fit everyone in. But in terms of the team this week, um, probably not too much to change from what we had before. So, so Areola in goal against Bournemouth, we like. We'll back Watkins. So the Aston Villa guys, we're not particularly Dubravka and Trippier. We're probably not super keen to rush back in. Luton away should be okay for a Stupinan. Forest away for Gabriel. So obviously we'll just push Trippier up, even though actually we will leave him there because three at the back means he'd be the next defender up anyway. Um, Palmer against Liverpool, whether we go with him or Gordon, is probably the decision to make, and we'll back the Reds to do the job. So we'll just park Palmer on the bench. So we've got Richarlison against Brentford's nice. Forest, yeah, Bournemouth, um, yeah, Watkins and Haaland. So I guess just the captaincy, we have sort of just stuck fat with Haaland again. Whether he plays a lot of minutes might be um, not the best. Just gonna have a quick look at recent history. So we've got they've conceded three, conceded four. Was that? Yeah, well, Liverpool would have won that. Conceded three, so they have been leaking goals. So I reckon we could probably captain Watkins this week against Newcastle. Back him in for a goal. Let's go it. So yeah, VC and Bowen at home to Bournemouth. Very good chance of getting a result if Watkins doesn't get a game for whatever reason. So that's the team and how it's going to sit for the time being. Um, as always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Um, if you do enjoy the FPL content, remember to give us a like. Subscribe to the channel for all the fantasy content. And while I talk about subscriptions, I should just say thanks to those who have got on recently. Probably a lot more sort of NRL fans in particular. Now that the sort of Supercoach stuff is open and up and running again. Um, yeah, I was sort of getting close to 200. It's rocketed over that, and it's about 210 now, which is insane. So thanks very much to everyone who has got on board already. But other than that, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.